Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Southampton Town Board on this 8th day of September 2020. Please rise if you're able and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's remain standing for a brief moment of silence as we join together, keeping in our thoughts and prayers all of the individuals of this country and around the world who have perished from the coronavirus. Yesterday, as you know, was Labor Day, and a day that we celebrate our nation's workers. A lot of those workers put their lives on the line to heal others in hospitals or even to just check us out in the grocery store. And unfortunately, we lost too many of America's workers. And unfortunately, a lot of America's workers still are unemployed because of the economics of the pandemic. So particularly with the lives lost, let's pause in their memory and let's join together in silence. All right, thank you. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, would you kindly call the roll?
Certainly. Supervisor Schneiderman.
Present.
Councilwoman Lofstad.
Here.
Councilman Martell.
Present.
Councilman Bouvier.
Here.
Councilman Scavone.
Present.
All right, thank you, Sunday. We have a couple housekeeping items on our agenda. We'll have a single public hearing. We'll move to public portion, and then we'll get to the main part of the agenda. Now, I know different people are here for different reasons. Because of COVID, we have limited space in the auditorium. So if you're here for a specific reason, it's good that I know, so we can maybe handle that item. And after that item's finished, then you could leave and make room for somebody else who's waiting on a later item. All right, so let me start by making a motion to approve the minutes from our August 25th, 2020 meeting.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, Madam Clerk, would you read the communications?
The following communications have been received in the office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from the town of East Hampton, hearing notices from the town of Riverhead, and a notice of adoption. Town of Southold, public hearing notice. Village of Sagaponack, notice of adoption. Emergency order filed by the Village of West Hampton Beach. New York State liquor license, 30-day advance notice to local municipalities for the listed individual. And from the town fire districts, we have received the proposed 2021 fire district budget for the Bridgehampton Fire District. Financial disclosure statements were filed by the listed individuals, and letters, emails, and land use applications were received regarding the following. Proposed Chapter 330-333, unmarked graves protection. Proposed Chapter 323, moratorium Shinnecock Hills on certain development. Proposed Star Aquatic Facility at 344 McGee Street, Southampton. Road conditions on Pine Neck, Noyak. Zoning Board of Appeals applications for locations at Harbor Drive in Noyak and Main Street in Quiog. The following bid opening took place for a second notice of irrigation maintenance and repair on August 26th, various pricing. And the following reports were received. From the receiver of taxes, Bridgehampton Coastal Erosion Tax Levies, NSBC Coastal Erosion Tax Levies, Sagaponack Coastal Erosion Tax Levies all for 2020 through 2021. From the town clerk, the groundwater status report from Row Industries Superfund site, Sag Harbor, for April, May, and June of 2020. And that concludes the communications for this meeting's agenda.
All right, thank you very much, Sunday. Okay, we have one public hearing. I haven't been given speaker cards, those who wish to speak at this public hearing. Janice, do you want to check to see if anybody's filled out a card? Meanwhile, Madam Clerk, if you'll read the public hearing notice.
Certainly. Public hearing number 1, to amend the target area of CPF acquired lands on McGee Street, Town of Southampton, in the CPF Management and Stewardship Plan.
Lisa, did you want to introduce this? We'll do Lisa Combrink is our CPF Program Manager. This is a continuation of a hearing on the former IGHL property. That would allow, it already allows for recreational facilities, but this sort of specifically makes it clear that there could be an indoor aquatics facility. All right.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. This is a continuation of the public hearing held 2 weeks ago, and as the supervisor mentioned, this is just to reference the possible construction of an aquatic facility at the referenced property. The property, when it was acquired, was already designated for recreation and park use, among other uses, and we thought it would be appropriate to add the potential use in the designation so that the public had noticed that it was under consideration. This is just the very first step in a very lengthy process, and this only pertains to the CPF designation for the property and nothing else.
Okay. So if we were, let's say, building basketball courts, tennis courts, that's already can be done clearly
Yes.
under this designation, but
Correct.
and it sounds like an indoor pool also could be, but just for further public notice.
That's correct. It's really just to provide the public with notice of it at this time, because it is not something that is considered on an everyday basis in the town of Southampton, and it's a significant project, important project.
And Assemblyman Thiel chimed in on this issue, correct?
Yes, and he said he thought it would be a good idea to amend the designation to reference a possible aquatic facility so that the public had notice of it at this time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I have a few people who pre-signed up to speak on this. I'll see if any of these individuals are here, and then I'll go to the audience. Let me start by Alvin Pankin. Is Alvin here? Okay. Let me take my mask off so it's fogging my glasses and making it so I can't read. Philomena McLean. Jan Michalik. Bob Tomich. Okay, Kim Folks. Okay, Kim, go ahead.
Francis, you'll be given an opportunity to speak, certainly. So-
Yeah, Francis, we will get to you, I promise. All right, Kim, you have 3 minutes.
Okay.
Just please identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Kim Folks. I'm the Executive Director of STAR Aqua Center. It is the nonprofit Southampton Aquatics and Recreation Corporation. And we are the organization that is trying to put together the funding for this. And first off, I'd just like to thank the board once again for this consideration and also the work that Lisa has put into the consideration of this parcel and including an aquatic facility to be used there. I do want to note for the record that according to the clerk's office as of this morning, there have been 38 letters in support of this, adopting an aquatic facility for the use there. The other thing I just wanted to mention in regard to the use there, we do have a parcel over at Red Creek, which was also generously dedicated by the town for this use. And after careful consideration and also an additional phone call to the planning department, it was actually pointed out to me by Janice in the planning department that if we were to do it at the Red Creek parcel, that we would be removing approximately 4 acres of pine barrens and trees in order to, build this facility, which is a big consideration when you consider that the McGee Street location is already a disturbed parcel. And in fact, we had the intention of just using what is already cleared. So there were, in fact, 5 letters written in opposition that I could calculate, and 3 of those were from one individual, and 2 of those were from another individual. So there's been 2 people that have written in opposition. And there are other people that will speak today in support of this that are part of our community, and I thank you again for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kim. Lisa, can I just ask you one question? Because I know traffic is always going to be an issue. My recollection, when we acquired this property, we left a right-of-way. I don't remember how wide, but we left an access that actually goes all the way out to County Road 39, right?
There is a right-of-way. I haven't looked at it recently, but I can definitely
Goes along
double-check.
The north side of this property connects with the property on County Road 39, which then you could develop a road if you wanted to go in and out from 39 directly. Okay,
I'll double-check on the ownership of that, too.
yeah, thank you. We keep looking at the wall, but this is not up on the wall at all. All right, okay, moving through the list, Alfie Callahan? Alfie, are you here to speak on this public hearing?
Yes.
Okay, about the aquatic center, okay.
Appreciate you having me up here. My name is Alfred Callahan. I'm Assistant Chief of Southampton Fire Department. I'm also an area resident where the proposed facility would be going, so Kim reached out to me. I'm a swiftwater rescue instructor for a company out of Maine that specializes in aquatic safety and drowning prevention, and it's something I feel very strongly for, and it's something that I feel that this community has been lacking pretty much since I was a child. We have a lot of pools in this community. I think a lot of people take that for granted for people who don't have access to swimming facilities. The pride and joy of Southampton are our beaches, the ocean, we have the bay, and learning to swim in the ocean was basically a privilege growing up to have people that were there to teach me, but there was no formal training for that. So to have a facility come to Southampton now that we could provide formalized training to the schools, multiple school districts, private organizations. You have a facility that can provide training for your ocean lifeguards, your fire department rescue teams, your law enforcement rescue teams, all throughout the year. This opportunity, I think, is something that the town should not take lightly. I know there's some opposition for various reasons in various locations. However, I think that the need for this type of facility, the need for this type of education in this community far outweighs some concerns about traffic and aesthetics of a facility. However, I cannot speak on that point. I do have to say that when I first learned of this facility, I was very excited. Right now, the closest facility for our team to go use for the fire department would be using the East Hampton's YMCA, which they have allowed in the past. And I have 3 young children, so when I wanted to have formalized swimming lessons for them, really it was the East Hampton YMCA, a couple of other organizations, but the commute, especially during the summer, and with all the other activities going on, just made that unfeasible for my wife. So to have a facility here is basically a middle ground to the facility out on the east end of Long Island and anything that's west of here. And I think that the location is great. It provides access from both directions, both east and west of Southampton. And it's something that we don't have. This wouldn't be a duplicate of another facility or another type of recreational property that we have, and I keep looking up to see it too. But so my main purpose here tonight was just to reiterate that from a rescuer's standpoint and from a father's standpoint, I think this kind of facility is long overdue in Southampton. I think it's going to benefit us. I know a lot of the incidents we respond to are frustrating and they're very sad because they're all preventable. They're all preventable from having a healthy fear, a healthy education and awareness of the hazards of the water, and to be a village, a town, and a county that embraces the water as our pride and joy. I think that this is long overdue to provide this kind of service to the residents. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your consideration on this, and I especially appreciate all the effort that the STAR, all of them have put into making this happen. So
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Alfred. I'm going to ask if it's okay to exit rather than go back to, I mean, if you have something in your
Yep.
seat, obviously, just to make room for other people. We have apparently quite a number of people who want to come in.
I have a quick question for the chief.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Your rescue squad, have you been training during the winter in the past couple of years?
So
In
we
the past that you've gone to East Hampton?
we've tried to set it up. Being a volunteer department, it's hard to get the guys to make that commute.
Right.
I do run the fire department's version of the lifeguard class, the surface water rescue technician course. We look for basically as soon as the weather starts getting nice, and for the last 3 courses that we've run, my wife has let me use our pool at home. So I have usually about 30 guys and gals jumping in and out of the pool, equipment everywhere. My daughters love it, but
May at the earliest.
my wife would also be here, I'm sure, to tell you that she would love to get them out of our pool and into a formalized facility. So I can go home and tell her I did mention that.
All right. Thank you, Alfred.
Thank you, 31.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, Jim Arnold. Not seeing Jim. All right, let's go Pete Chrysamilos. Yes. Here? All right, come on up. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Milios. Chrysamilos?
Kritsamilios.
Not bad.
Okay, before I begin my remarks, I'd just like to thank everyone present for their time. I'd also like to thank everyone for allowing me to speak here today. My name is Pete Kritsamilios. I'm a resident of Hampton Bays, and I'm a 28-year veteran of the FDNY, currently retired. Presently, I'm an ocean lifeguard for the town of Southampton. I'm here to ask your support for the proposed aquatic center. In a word, we're a community that is surrounded by water. I think a facility of this nature would serve us very well. It's my understanding, as Kim already said, that the original site for this facility was Red Creek Park, but we would have to clear 4 acres of woodland, which was not a desirable option. The location is now proposed at McGee Street, where raising woodland would not be an issue, and it would be more centrally located. I'm urging you to approve this proposal and this new location. As I've already said, I believe this facility would serve our community well. Learn to swim programs for our school-age kids, competitive events, again, for our school-age residents, therapeutic activities for our older residents, as well as learn to swim programs could be made available. A facility such as this could be a training center for our water rescue people, such as Alvin, our ocean lifeguards, and our neighbors at the Shinnecock Coast Guard facility. The benefits of this facility could provide a wide-ranging and varied, and they're only limited by our imagination. As our community grows and diversifies, we're seeing an increase in numbers of people who cannot swim. Ocean Beach Public, boaters, fishermen, these are just some of the groups that we're seeing where people have very limited swim skills to participate in these various activities safely. Perhaps there's a way for an aquatic facility to mitigate this problem. By teaching a young person how to swim, you give them a lifetime of fun, enjoyment, and above all, safety in and around water. Let's build this thing. Let's create 40 full-time jobs for 40 of our residents. Let's make this a facility that is available to as many people in the community as possible. Let's teach as many people in this community how to swim. Let's give our water rescue people, our ocean lifeguards, and our Coast Guard a great training facility so they all may live up to the motto, ut aliis asita vivere, which is Latin for so that others may live. Let's do it. Let's do it together. let's build this thing. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Pete. And again, if you could exit so that we can let another individual in. All right, I'm going to go back to this list just to make sure that anybody who is on it is not here. Alvin, or did you come in? Alvin, come on up.
Okay.
And are you with somebody else on the list too?
Well, Jan Mahalik is one of our residents and former board member.
Not on the list, okay.
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 All right. Ladies and
Jim
gentlemen,
Mihalik is on the list.
I am here representing Southampton Commons Homeowners Association. We are a community of 123 homes, approximately 500 residents. It seems that we have no complaint with an aquatic center. Our problem is the location of the aquatic center. I have been here when we were discussing the King Cullen supermarket, and that went on for years. Thank goodness that idea was terminated. But now we're faced with a new heavy-duty use diagonally across from our community. And I would like to read into the record an email I sent to Mr. Schneiderman. Take a minute. Mr. Schneiderman, I am Alvin Pankin, President of Southampton Common Homeowners Association. We are located directly across the road from the proposed aquatic center. We are a community of 123 homes with approximately 500 residents. We are one of the largest taxpayers in the town of Southampton. The aquatic center will directly affect our community day and night with increased traffic passing our front entrance on Hubbard Lane. Hubbard Lane is not a street or a road. It is a small country lane that floods every time we have an extended rainfall. The lane turns into a moat. Vehicles traveling east on County Road 39 use the Hubbard Lane, parenthesis shortcut route, into the village through South McGee Street via Moses. At 5 p.m., Moses is total gridlock with vehicles coming from town to go west on County Road 39. Now, if everybody knows what that area is, it's impassable. That's without an aquatic center. Cars and trucks come off Route County Road 39 and go through the stop sign at our front entrance. They come to travel 50, 60 miles an hour off the road there at high rates of speed. More traffic into such a large, dense facility is ill-suited for this busy location. Building this aquatic center across from our development will have a negative impact on our property values. I see that a hearing is scheduled for September 8th. That's why I'm here. I would like to attend. Please send me information. And I got the information, and I'm attending. Now, I don't know if anybody here is familiar with our condominium. It was built in approximately 1980. We just spent millions of dollars renovating the entire place. You go in there, it looks like a diamond. We have renovated the buildings. We have renovated all of the recreational facilities. We got everything there. The last thing we need is more traffic going in the front of it. Now, if people are familiar with coming east from west, the diversion road it's a secondary road, Hubbard Lane. It's a small little nothing road, which we have two dry wells in the road. It's like a lake when it rains. That have traffic going in there, school buses, it's just ill-suited for the location. Southampton College is a great location for this facility. It's closer to Hampton Bays, closer to a big population. You have tremendous amount of land over there to use, and it's easy to get in and easy to get out. You got two main roads. Here, people would be coming when they're traveling east, right past our community.
30
Or we,
seconds.
It's okay, keep going, you have 30 seconds more.
oh, really? Okay, that's not enough. So anyway, I didn't realize I had a hook, but I think I see that. But we ask the board to reconsider, not to reconsider the idea. The idea is a good idea. Probably people from our community, because we have a lot of people living there now that we never had living there even 10 years ago.
You could walk to this potentially.
We could dive in from the corner. However, at the end of the day, we're not looking for more traffic. What we are looking for, no matter what, is to close the road off from County Road 39 so the cars can't be barreling past our place, and they would have to make a right turn at South McGee Street by the Potato Barn. So that is an issue. That's a separate issue from the aquatic center. But the last thing we're looking for is more traffic in our community and any denser use. And it will be a day and night operation because it's going to open early, close late, weekends. People will want to go to a nice facility. And we will want to go to a nice facility, but just not at that location.
And can I ask
Any
you-
questions?
Yeah, is your main concern Hubbard Lane? Like, if Hubbard Lane, let's say, didn't go to County Road 39, let's say it was a dead end.
Well, it still goes into McGee Street.
Let's say, you're right.
So if you take a look at the
But nobody-
property,
Let's say nobody was going down Hubbard Lane to get to the aquatic center.
that would be a big improvement. But how you propose to stop that?
I'm just throwing it out there.
The only way to stop that would be to eliminate the entrance from County Road 39 onto McGee. Now, we used to have, before the last plan was, if you recall the last plan was to eliminate the left, they were going to eliminate left turns on County Road 39 and McGee, and they diverted the traffic onto Hubbard Lane. So people were coming in and going to the corner and making a left turn. But that plan didn't work out too well because the road was always flooded and the school buses were stuck over there, et cetera, et cetera.
People use Hubbard as a turnaround to
Well, you would have to make a turnaround
go down Hubbard and then make the left.
to go out. I don't even know when that cut was put in over there, but basically, our property is the old Roscoe Potato Farm before the condos were built. And we would like to work with the town board.
Okay.
We're interested, but we're not interested in it at our location. That's all I
Well,
have to say.
if we were able to mitigate the impacts, then you might be,
Then we might be.
okay.
But we'd have to sit down, this is a big thing, 170 parking spaces, plus all the transient, plus all the school buses, plus all the usage. The usage is going to be
Well,
gonna
it
be
depends
big.
on what's designed for the location, but right now, the property could be used for recreation. It could
could be, yes.
It could be athletic fields now, it could be tennis courts.
Could be a nursing home.
Couldn't be a nursing home,
Why?
because we purchased it with community preservation funds as a recreational property. A nursing home would not qualify.
Okay.
The other piece could be the one that was part of the original supermarket proposal. It involved 3 pieces.
Right.
This was just one of those 3 pieces,
So this piece is, what, approximately 7 acres?
approximately, yeah.
Okay, our community is about 27 acres,
And it's
pretty
a
big.
lovely community. I was just there yesterday.
Well, thank you.
You did a great job.
Thank you very much, appreciate
Very
that.
nice in there.
But we'd like to sit down with you and have a discussion and see how we can go forward with this.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Just contact me, you have my number. We'll be glad to hear. We have very good people who are residents over there, who are here in the wintertime, who are willing to sit down and work with the board. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Alvin.
Yeah.
Hold on. Are you Jan? You're
That's
on the
Jan.
list. Come on up.
Come on up, Jan.
Is anyone else of the names I called earlier, did they come in? Philomena? You're Philomena? And what about Bob Tomich?
He's there too.
Is he here too? Okay.
Want a group?
No, just one at a time. You're not wearing masks. Maybe you guys know each other.
Yeah, we've kissed.
We do, kind of.
If you can picture that.
All right, too much information. All right, so Alvin.
We sure do.
Why don't, you can go, Alvin.
You can go.
You can
Would you
go.
like me to- Oh, you want me to go? Okay, I'll
Yeah, you
go.
can go, we can make room for
She told me to
somebody
stay, I stay.
else. All right, so,
All right.
now Jen,
Yes.
you also have 3 minutes, it sounds like you don't need it. but
I don't
just
really, I don't need the
identify
3
yourself
minutes.
For our records.
Jan Mihalik, a permanent resident now of Southampton the past 4 years, bought our condo in 1989, used it as a summer home, and now it's a permanent retired home. And was on the HOA board for many years and did a major help development of the new things. We're really concerned that Alvin didn't really mention that the properties, I bought this house for $200,000 and now hopefully it's worth almost $1 million. And the homes around us, Bishop's Pond and the fields and everything are multi-million-dollar homes. And almost everyone has done incredible renovations inside and so on. And with the kind of recreation facility, which is a great idea, but you have it at Red Bank or
Red Creek?
Red Creek that's already approved. I would think the same amount of people, and children and lifeguards and so on, would be attending that, but we're so afraid that property values will deteriorate. And
Could it be a positive for property values if you can walk to an indoor pool?
no, I don't think so. I honestly don't think
You
so.
don't think it's a selling?
No, I don't think it's a selling point. Our selling point is we have 2 pools and 3 pickleballs and a golf thing and a bocce thing and 3 tennis courts. And to walk down to another pool, so,
Yeah, well, in the winter.
no, not enough people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank
But
you.
those people are still paying taxes.
All right, thank you, Jan.
Thank you. Pleasure.
All right, Philomena? Come on.
Just here to support, but I obviously.
Come up. I can't, we won't be able to record you from your seat there.
If you guys are done, actually, to make room for other people to
Yeah.
come in.
Yeah, Alvin, if you and Jan could exit.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well,
Philomena?
yes, of course. Thanks for the time. I've been a resident. I bought in 2017, and over the past few years, there's been tremendous improvement in that community, as said by, Jan and Alvin, of course. This particular summer has been so busy. We all know why, with renters and all of that. It has been overwhelming, the traffic in that area, where it takes you a half hour to go from Hill Street to Hubbard Lane, oftentimes at 5 o'clock. So if you add any more traffic to that area, you're really paralyzing us. I'm now a full-time resident, moved from Manhattan, after COVID. So I find this really, concerning for me as well as for my, other homeowners. So of course the majority of the community also sit on the board of HOA, really opposes this project for many reasons.
All right, thank you, Philomena.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob, you're here. Tomich?
Hi, I am a real estate broker in town, and my wife, we're full-time residents. My wife works at London Jewelers, and I can tell you it takes her 45 minutes to get home, all right, when she leaves her work at 6 o'clock. So in terms of just time and traffic, I just don't see any benefit to putting it in that location. I don't know anything about the red area or SYS area or something like that, but I don't see how you're going to do it with the traffic. I know when Bobby Morrow was trying to put up his supermarket right there, traffic had to be probably one of the big considerations of it, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's my understanding of it right there. I just don't see how it's going to work.
Certainly if we're going to do anything with that location, we would do a full traffic analysis.
Um,
A pool is.
That was
very
probably
different
already
than
done though, right?
Pool's different than a grocery store, so you have to look at the use and the amount of people and what's the size of the pool. Are there other facilities? Like East Hampton, they've got a pool, but they also have a gym, and they have a youth center all in one building.
Right.
What's being proposed here is just a pool. So, but, the experts would know exactly how many vehicles per hour, that kind of thing. And we'd have to look at that light, we'd have to look at access from County Road 39 rather than McGee. There could be other things to mitigate issues, looking at Hubbard Lane, where you live on Hubbard, right? So we'd have to look at all those things, before moving forward.
Well,
Important
go
consideration.
up there at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock and sit there for a while. You'll see it.
Oh, I've been there.
All right, so you understand.
Been there. I don't know why that light doesn't have a green arrow personally, but
It's just too many cars. It doesn't matter, green arrow or not. It's just packed. All
Yeah.
right, and in terms
well,
of
part of it is as you're going north on McGee, it's just there's no green arrow to make that left. That's
Nope.
crazy with the volume of traffic.
that's Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, I think that's everybody on this list. I know, Francis, you wanted to speak. We'll take, and James wants to speak on this proposal? Yes. All right, Francis, you were here first. Though we all know who you are, I'm going to ask that you identify yourself anyway for our records.
My name is Frances Genovese, and I live at 209 Bishop's Lane. And I want to start out by saying that I very much do not want to be here today during this particular time of a pandemic and the kind of stresses that people have on them. Many, many people want to be heard on this issue and have asked me to speak for them. The public is angry at the procedure. We find disingenuous statements made by Ms. Lofstadt and Ms. Combrick about this being just a little procedural step. This is, you're getting your ducks in a row. Ms. Combrick has just said that once this is moved forward, the public will know it's under consideration. It's been under consideration for longer than the public has been aware of. I'm here to state for a great many people, we are totally and completely opposed to you adding a pool usage to this CPF fund money. This was put in place to relieve the neighborhood. Just a short thing. The village provides a disproportionate amount of money to the CPF fund, and there is not enough land for there to be any preservation in the village. The village is being rewarded by increasing the traffic. I don't care what you do on Hubbard Lane. Hubbard Lane is only one tiny spur. We have every single street feeding through the residential streets filled with people speeding, gridlock, all kinds of, and it's not just the trade parade, it's all day long now. Getting to Hill Street. This would make Hill Street even more so a highway. That is what you're using your CPF fund money for. Just an aside, there was one really good thing has come from this. We want the CPF fund ended. This is a slush fund that is being distorted beyond its original purposes, combining with private business. It's over, as if we can do anything about it. The traffic is horrific on those streets. Now, I'm interested in two things. I don't care about the pool, quite frankly. I don't care about people who feel that their children are so deprived that they should go to a municipal facility instead of using their private pool. I think I just heard that here. I want to know the timeline of how this started out in Red Creek at double the size for the pool and less land, and has now morphed through, I think, considerable encouragement, has morphed to half the size for the pool, adding a two-story, ugly as sin, inappropriate sports complex onto a piece of the road that can't take anything else. I am very interested in that timeline and at every step, and I hope that nobody thinks that the opinions provided by Tim Rumpf are any kind of an analysis, and nobody is reassured by having to read through another traffic study. We simply don't want it. We want it stopped here. We don't want the amendment added. We don't want this hearing to continue, and if you do continue it, we don't want it closed. And another thing is, we really feel that there's been no due diligence on the funding of this. How much of this is going to fall on the taxpayer? How much? How much of the insurance? God forbid somebody gets hurt. God forbid a kid gets killed in there. The insurance, who picks up that burden? Who picks up the $2.5 million to begin with lawsuit? This is ill thought out. There's no due diligence, and we don't want it.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you.
All right. James, you're up next. Again, we know who you are, but James, if you could just identify yourself for our recording.
Hi, James Ding. When I moved out here in 1977, I moved over, well, when it was beautiful. and that's why I moved. And I moved to North Sea, and I live on Big Fresh Pond. And Big Fresh is a beautiful lake. It's the second largest freshwater lake on Long Island. And Kurt Billing used to teach everyone how to swim. That was before everybody got rich and got their own swimming pools. Now, I feel that people can still use the lake, but I'm not opposed to this swimming pool. I just feel that it should be over at Red Creek, because it can serve Riverhead, Quogue, West Hampton Beach, Hampton Bay's most important, because they have a large number of children, whereas in Southampton or the Noyak and North Sea area, we have the SYS for an athletic facility, whereas there's no community sports facility west of the canal. None that I'm aware of. And I think it would just equalize some of the facilities the town would be offering to the township as a whole. And I believe that 4 acres of digging up the trees, you can mitigate that by using the parking lot runoff. You can do the thing that you're going to do, or someone's doing at Lake Agawam by Dune Church or something like that, right at the parking lot, where the runoff of the parking lot is going through a rain garden. That's what I wanted to say, a rain garden. And you can use a perimeter of the water that's running off the pavement of the parking lot and do a rain gutter right around the perimeter of the parking lot, which would more than make up for lack of trees. But I think it's just a wonderful facility at
30
the
seconds.
Red Creek Park. Now, if you look at just apples and oranges, but if you look at the traffic on County Road 39, 4 lanes, 2 going west, 2 trying to go east. Then you look at Montauk Highway. It's a night and day difference as far as gridlock or the amount of traffic. It just makes more sense. You have the 24 coming down that would service Riverhead, and it's lighter traffic on Montauk Highway coming from West Hampton Beach. I just want to be sensible, and anyone that wants to go swimming can use Big Fresh Pond. It's a beautiful lake.
Not in February, though.
No, you go ice skating. And it does freeze over, and
right,
it's
thank you,
just a
James.
beautiful thing. But thank you for your time.
And again, so if you could exit.
I will.
So we can make room for
I'm
others.
not staying here.
Thank you.
Always good to see you. All right, so is there anyone else who wishes to be heard on this hearing about the Aquatic Center? Okay, and Paul, there's nobody in the hall who wants to speak on this issue? All right, here's my recommendation, based on the number of people who spoke today in opposition, that we don't close the hearing, that we allow it to be open still for both written and oral testimony. So I'd like to make a motion to just adjourn it to the 22nd.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. Cindy, you got that? The motion is to adjourn to the 22nd. It's 6 p.m. All in favor?
So we would continue the public hearing on the 22nd?
Yep, we'll continue to take testimony. Did you want to say something, Councilman?
Well, yeah, I would I prefer that we close the hearing. I think that we've heard this in work session. This is our second town board meeting, our second hearing that we've heard on this, and we've received a number of letters in favor and in opposition, and this, to me, is a procedural move for CPF, and it would be appropriate to close it, but
I don't disagree, but there's been a movement to build an indoor pool now for as long as I can remember, 20, 30 years or so. And one of the speakers said that other people wanted to be heard, but they were concerned about COVID and things like that. So I think in light of the pandemic and some of that testimony and the fact that anybody who's been wanting this indoor pool has been pretty patient, I'd rather we allow for a little bit more in-person testimony, if that's okay with you. It wasn't my intention going in today to do that, but that's sort of my feelings at this moment.
I agree with the spirit of what you were saying. This would have to come before the board for a licensing agreement then, and we could have public hearings at that time.
That is true.
Whereas, members of the community can come out and voice their, opinions, yay or nay, or whatever they would like to say on this.
I happen to agree with Jay. I would like to adjourn it to September 22nd. And just reinforce to everybody that coming here and speaking is one way to get on the record, but also emailing and writing us letters is another way. So if you are worried that you didn't get a chance to speak, please, over these next 2 weeks, write an email or a letter to us, and that goes on the record and carries just as much weight as coming here and speaking to us.
And if I could just say, townclerk@southamptontowny.gov. If any correspondence is sent to that email address, it will be distributed to the entire town board, entered into the record for any hearing that is open.
Thank you, Cindy. And I just want to remind the board that this is simply amending the CPF management and stewardship plan. This is not an approval or disapproval.
I agree.
of the pool. This is-
I'd like to actually echo that, because I think the public may be a little confused as to what we're entertaining right now. What we're entertaining right now is a change of use for this particular property to add in what is already designated as a recreational site, CPF site, to add in the ability to put a swimming pool. It is not that we are putting one in, is that we're making it possible to do so. And you've got to go through this whole process of reviewing what has to be reviewed as a process anybody would have to go through, which involves all the issues that people have been talking about. So we have a lot of public hearings ahead of us if and when that actually becomes a project that would be in front of us.
So would you prefer to close it then and just leave the written record open?
That's my preference, but I go with just sheer deference to the board.
I'm going
I can go either way as long as we keep the record open for a couple more weeks for comment.
I'll let you make the call. So you want to I just feel that more people want to be heard. That's my feeling from today. You have a big condominium association nearby, and I feel like people are just sort of becoming aware that we're considering it. And I feel that some of the things that were spoken of were legitimate, and that we need to think about those things maybe before we move forward with this use on this property, and see if some of these things can be mitigated, better understand it. So my preference would be to allow people to speak in person for a little while longer, but I can go the other way too.
No, I agree with that. I agree. Let's do that. Let's keep it open, and let's have one more public session, and we'll close it after that.
Yeah, I mean, just really want to make it very clear what we're sitting here to look at. We're not looking at a full proposal right now. We're looking at simply a procedure to be able to make that possible to happen into the future.
Right. I think
Which
that's
is slightly altering our CPF management and stewardship plan. That's what we're doing here.
Which is already
Right.
good for recreational, as it is.
Right, and if we were proposing tennis courts there, we wouldn't be going through this process. It's already allowed, and might even be more people than a pool, but we're
I
not.
would advocate for public hearings when we do our licensing agreement, which, after this, we can put before the town board, as I understand it, by resolution. Perhaps we should have public hearings at that point. Where people
That's a good idea,
And
too.
it would be a secret review, environmental review, a lot of, the proposal hasn't been even put in front of us in any depth. So That's just something to consider as a board, that there's a process here that we're going through.
So we have a motion and a second to adjourn to the 22nd.
And I'm sorry, just one more thing I want to add to that is that the public will be afforded ample opportunity in going into the future
Yes.
from this point, no matter what's decided here, to weigh in and offer comment.
Good point, Councilman.
Who was my second? Was it you or Rick? All right, so I made a motion, seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad, to adjourn to the 22nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so it's unanimous. All right, that's the only public hearing. We're going to move on to public portion. I have a number of people who indicated that they wish to be heard in public portion. Let me just explain to those unfamiliar with our processes. After public portion closes, we will go to the resolutions. I will ask that certain things be taken out of order so that people don't have to wait. Those things pertaining to the Graves Protection Act and the moratorium, so that those individuals who are here today for those things can get back to their important business. So we do public portion first, and there will not be an opportunity after public portion for the general public to speak again. We'll go right to the agenda and go through these. I may recognize officials during the main part of the meeting, but other than that, I ask that you speak in public portion. All right, so I'm going to begin with Hope Sandro. Hope's in the back. Each speaker, please identify yourself, even if we know who you are, because we are keeping transcripts of today's meeting, and everybody has 3 minutes, so try to keep it as brief as you can. Thank you, Hope.
I want to thank you for having the hearing today and voting for the resolution. My husband and I are in support of the grave protection and also the moratorium. We own 2 properties. I hope sometime soon there's more preserved land around our properties, as I've proposed. We think it's due time, long overdue, that this recognition be given to our neighbors. They need relief, they need recognition of who they are, and we need to show respect. And I want to thank you so much for all your expressions of support for these at the last hearing. And I couldn't help but want to be here and be part of the celebration of this long overdue legislation. So thank you so much, and I'm very excited and happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hope.
Thank you.
You know, again, you're welcome to stay.
Can I jump up and down? or-
If you want to be here to witness the vote, that's fine. If you want to make room for somebody else,
That
that's
too.
okay too.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay,
All right, thank you, Hope.
If I'm not here, just picture me jumping up.
Oh, please.
All right, Elena?
I would like to have Jennifer go for me.
Okay, Jennifer, I have you down as number 9, but I'll go ahead. Jennifer, come on up.
Actually, I'm going to yield to my chairman.
Brian is going to speak later. Brian was the official I was referring to later. Brian is asked to speak when this is approved, assuming it will be approved, so.
I just want to show respect to my chairman. Thank you, Jen.
My name is Jennifer E. Cuffey Wilson. I'm Shinnecock Montauk, and I'm part of the Graves Protection Warrior Society. I wanted to speak because I wanted you guys to know that we have been dealing with this for close to 30 years. This isn't anything new. It should not be new to you. Okay? You just happen to be the 4th supervisor and the 4th board that we have dealt with. Okay? We have been dealing with such disrespect since 1640. We really have. We have been good neighbors. We taught your ancestors how to survive. We taught your ancestors how to live. We gave you land. What did we get in return? You stole it from us. You lied to us. You cheated us. And the worst thing about it was you dug up our ancestors. You put them in museums or you threw them away. And it's still happening today. And I'm very upset with that, especially when I found out that my school principal was a grave robber. So this isn't something that just happened. And it needs to stop. Our ancestral sacred ground, Sugarloaf, I mean, that whole Shinnecock Hills, that whole area was full of our ancestors. And they were all dug up over the years. They were just dug up. A lot of them, you didn't even tell us about it. We just happened to have a good person who had a good heart who told us about Hawthorne Road. Otherwise than that, we wouldn't even know that. And where would that ancestor had gone? Probably in the garbage can, just like all the rest of them. It's time to stop. And we have been asking for years for you to please do something. And we ourselves have written our own legislation. But I guess our paperwork is not good enough. And we had our lawyers do it. And I know you have written yours, but did you consult with our lawyers? Did you consult with Harry Wallace? Did you consult with George Stankovich? They're the ones that wrote the ones that we had, but they weren't good enough. So this has got to stop. And you have to write something that would be proper and respectful, because this is new to us. We were not used to reburying our ancestors, because once we put them in the ground, they were in for life, because that was their sacred ground. We have been here for over 10,000 years. You guys proved it. Even though we told you, you guys proved it. So you are living on sacred ground, and all you have done is rip it up. That's all you're doing. And the thing of it is that it's not just affecting us. It's going to affect your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. Because they're not going to have any air. They're not going to have water to drink. They're not going to have any of that if we keep doing what is being done. Every inch of open land, you guys are just, it's unbelievable. If my parents, my father who passed away in 1980, he was born in 1904, I'm sorry. He worked for the town highway department. If he was to come back now and see what this land looks like, he would cry. Because back in the day, this land was beautiful. This land was beautiful. But now, certain parts of it are. But even those are going away. And why? Because you guys are allowing it. You are allowing it. Your building permit says that they have to do an archaeological research or something like that in order for them to do any kind of building. Nothing was done at Hawthorne, nothing was done at 513, and nothing was done at the other place, Scott Miston. Nothing. But yet there's a huge McMansion at 513 and another one at Scotchmas. When is this going to stop? Not just for us, but for your children and your grandchildren. Because if we don't do it now, and guess what? We're not going away. We are not going away until this is taken care of. Okay? Like my sign says, I'm done. I'm done with being nice. I'm done.
Thank you, Jen. All right. I'm going to go back to Elena.
I'm going to let the others go before me. I'll go last.
All right. Well, I have an order here, so I'm just going to go Don Sachem Williams.
No, thanks.
Okay. Lance, I didn't see Lance. Is he here?
No, he's not here.
All right, Brian, you're going to speak later, you said. Is Becky Ginya here? Okay, Tila Troge?
She's not coming up.
Okay, Matt Ballard? Okay, how about Ray Horton? Ray, did you want to speak?
I don't think you want to hear what I have to say.
Of course I do. Now's the time. Say your piece, that's good. Say it. That's what democracy is about.
Okay. My name is Ray Horton. I am an enrolled member of the Shinnecock tribe. What these people have said today, I don't need to repeat that to you. So what I am going to repeat to you, because I've seen people from the swimming pool people, how they are, oh, traffic this, traffic that. Well, you know what? Give us our land back. They don't need to be there. And I can repeat what your First Lady has says about the Native Americans, which makes me so agitated that you're just lucky I'm being nice today. She said, why don't they go back to where they came from? This is what your First Lady has said. So you know what? I'm going back to where I came from. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said. All right, Pam, I saw Pam earlier. Pam Grenke, is she here?
She's outside.
Here, let me get her.
Well, we try to find Pam. Is Lauren, you're here?
Pam's not here.
Okay, Lauren, we'll take you. How do you say your last name?
It was misspelled. It's Barta.
Bar?
Barta, B-A-R-T-A.
Okay. Got an extra I in there.
Yes, they added that.
Go ahead.
My name's Lauren, and since I was maybe 14 or 15 years old, I've had the privilege and the honor to have different elders in my life. I was a young person that was kind of struggling with myself, tried to get help in different ways, didn't really have it. And the wisdom and the love that came from some of the Native elders that I got to work with and that showed kindness to me and gave me support in my life really completely transformed me. I've seen so many Native tribes in my life. I work with several nonprofits. I've worked with the Jane Goodall Foundation, the Kuginka Sewaluna Foundation. We've collaborated with some other nonprofits for land preservation and for cultural respect. And one thing that I want to say is that preserving the land and supporting the Graves Protection Act is near and dear to my heart, but also honoring the people. You know, sometimes I think that there is this modern day projection that we put onto Native peoples of, oh, there's none of them are left anymore. It's, you know, there's nothing conscious anymore. There's no wisdom anymore. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. I interact with the Shinnecock tribe every day. I work with various Native peoples around the world every week, and the level of heart, the level of kindness, the level of wisdom and respect for nature and for consciousness is just really unparalleled. And I see a world that so many people are acting uncaring towards each other and just destroying ourselves, destroying nature, fighting with each other, not being kind to each other. And I just feel like the way that the tribe and especially some of the elders are being treated in this whole process of the Graves Protection Act, it really upsets me. And I just want to say that from my heart because they're incredible people. And I fully support the act from being, put to pass. And I also feel like it's not just a Shinnecock issue. I'm not a Native person, but I really care about the earth. I don't want my grandmother dug up, I don't want my brother dug up. And I think it's like a human decency issue. And I just really hope that there can be more love and respect to the tribe overall, because there are beauty and things that are held within the people that I don't know if everyone gives it the respect that it really deserves. And it's mighty, and it's sincere. And the people of this whole area could really benefit from a more positive relationship with the tribe, because there's so much superficiality, there's so much greed, there's so much, malice that overtakes our minds and our persons sometimes. I mean, just look at the world. Like, we're in kind of crisis, And so I hope that you guys do the right thing today and one small step of something that can be beneficial for everybody.
Thank you, Lauren. I'm going to keep going through the list. Ariana. Is Ariana here? Shindell. All right. How about Jose Zagni?
Here downstairs, they weren't little.
Okay. Taylor Dumpson. Okay, then let's, I'm back to you, Elena. Or if you want to bring in people one by one who want to be heard. I think a lot of these people are just waiting for the vote, and they're not necessarily want to be heard. You want to be heard too?
But I don't want to go in front of anyone. She can go next.
Okay, I can't see where you're pointing. Okay, you're not on the list, you're on the list.
I was told I was on the list, yes.
Okay, Myers, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the last meeting, but I did watch it on Zoom. Very concerned about what I witnessed at that meeting, and I am, first of all, absolutely pro-Shinnecock. My heart is with them. My heart is absolutely in support of the Graves Protection Act. I'm having a very hard time with the state of the moratoriums for several reasons. I'm wondering, first and foremost, if any of you read the letter that I sent you. It was kind of long, and I'm sorry about that, but I have a deep history. I did receive one response, but the response seemed to me that the person had not read it. So while you say your letters are heard and they're as important as speaking in public, I'm a little concerned because I did not receive a response that gave me confidence. I'm wondering, Sunday, if you received my letter.
I've received hundreds of letters.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I'm sure
All right,
if
well,
you send it to me, it is out.
I hope so, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, the one response I got
I recall reading your letter.
very clearly was not clear that, maybe read the first paragraph that said I'm pro-Shinnecock. I am pro-Shinnecock.
No, I read the letter.
Okay, I appreciate that you did, Mr. Schneiderman.
I would just like to add, I think we've all read the letters. We've gotten a lot of letters.
I'm sure you have.
There's
Yeah.
11,000 from
Yeah.
all over the world, so it's pretty impressive, and it's a hard list to get through.
I believe it, and I
your
I respect the pressure that you're all under for this. I'm curious why it's all being roped together. I think the Graves Protection Act should have been passed yesterday. I mean, I'm 100% for that. I am more of the belief that this is a problem between the town and the Shinnecock and not the direct couple of hundred landowners that you're focusing on, because that is the area that New York State has recognized, when the history of the Shinnecock will tell you that they roamed the entire East End. So how you can take a moratorium and pass it on just this handful of people, I just don't understand, particularly when you don't really clearly have any idea what the resources are going to be for us to do this, what the costs are going to be, Why can't this be a town fund for people? I know my taxes have tripled between the rezoning to Hampton Bays, again, a little tiny triangle that got moved to Hampton Bays. We're on a private road. The 10 Hawthorne Road situation is a separate thing, which I chose not to get into in my letter, other than to tell you the story of how those remains were found, because I lived there, and I saw it happen. There was a beautiful white pine. It was a gorgeous tree. I called it my angel tree. And that was directly above where the remains were found. And if there were some clearing laws in this area, which how there could not be clearing laws on every square inch of the East End, restrictions, I do not understand. But that developer was allowed to take every tree. He left one oak tree, and he did it in 3.5 hours. I went to have my hair done, and I came back, and this was his making his stamp on his lot of land, which he had the right to do. Those laws need to change. That is part of this problem, because if he hadn't had to gut the entire lot, those remains probably would have been left undisturbed. They were to the side of the property. They were not within the footprint of the house.
I think they were.
No, they weren't.
They were
They weren't.
in the area where they dug out for the foundation. It might have been a little bit to the side. But
Well, it was to the side when it was the earth. I'm saying that because no one has said that. My other question to you is, why are the homeowners not being informed? Not everybody reads the paper. I talk to people that are flooding your emails, and they're seeing graves protection, and they're saying yes, but they don't even know what the moratoriums are. They don't know anything about them. So I don't really understand how you can vote on even a temporary moratorium when you don't really know how it's going to flush out. To say that we're a capitalist society and so therefore people will go into business, for me, that's not a good enough answer when I know how much it's going to affect my property rights. And I mean no disrespect to the Shinnecock. I don't. And I mean no disrespect to you. I'm just suggesting that there are other things that need to be looked at before you vote on the moratoriums. Vote on graves protection today. It needs to be done. It should have been done ages ago. I am not pro-development. I've watched what has happened to my neighborhood. Even down the end of my road, there are pools going into the side of the mountain. How they can do this energy engineering, I have no idea. But it's happening, and they have the money to do it. Just like the town land where the man at 660, whatever it is, on Hawthorne Road continues to take trees. I've written CPF. I mean, I could go on and on about the different things, but my point to you is there is other legislation that needs to be passed. And I don't understand why a town fund is not being considered for this. Because how it feels is you're taking a centuries-old problem that is very deep and very complicated and passing it on to us to handle, and another hoop to jump through. I don't want to develop my land. You can come count the mosses on my grass. I let it grow. I let it be. But what has happened to 10 Hawthorne Road is not what was meant to be. Nature has taken over, but the wrong soil was returned. I know that because my neighbor followed the truck. It was at our meeting that we sat at, it was guaranteed that the original soil would come back. Well, it didn't. The Indians paid off the escrow, so there was no leverage. The builders never came back and finished the lot, and it sat. And then CPF, thank God, said, we'll do something. They just started digging again. But I can tell you that powwow 2 years ago, a medicine man from Cape Cod said, well, if they keep digging, they might find something over there and something over there. The point is, they could be anywhere, as could colonial remains be anywhere. So I feel that this needs to be a broader range. And to pinpoint Shinnecock, while I understand that it's sacred land, it's all sacred land at the end of the day. And I just think that the due diligence has not, you're not clear enough. I didn't hear any clear answers to some of the questions that were posed by my neighbor, and unfortunately I couldn't be there. You know, even today people couldn't come because it was 1 p.m. And I don't think people know. I think a lot of people, because everyone's like this in their own world, they don't know what's going on. So your original thing to have a focused Zoom meeting, which you backed off on after another gentleman who doesn't live in the area, who isn't a homeowner from what I understand, kind of pressed you that you needed to push this through. I absolutely think you need to approve the Graves Protection Act. I absolutely agree. Long overdue. But I really strongly encourage you to do some more due diligence on how this is actually going to pan out before you go to a vote on the moratoriums.
All right, thank you, Maris.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Elena, you ready yet?
Oh. No, it's not yours.
Good afternoon to the board. My name is Elena Williams. I'm a Shinnecock, and I'm here. I've been asked by an organization, which I'm also a part of, to read a letter that they have submitted, and they want it to go on the record. And the organization is the African American Educational and Cultural Festival, and they are in full support of our Shinnecock Nation and the Graves Protection. So they addressed the letter to you, and I'm sure you, the board has received it and have read it. It says, "Dear Town Supervisor and Council members, the African American Education and Cultural Festival, Inc. feels compelled on behalf of our membership based on Long Island to advocate for equity, equal treatment under the law, social justice, and respect for our Native American neighbors of Southampton as they seek legislation protecting the sacred burial sites of their ancestors. As is true of most cultures, the original inhabitants of Southampton, the Shinnecock Nation, believe in honoring the graves of their foreparents and are therefore emotionally injured when others desecrate places where early family members are buried. The African American Educational and Cultural Festival are forever aware and sensitive to our occupation of land belonging to those who have preceded us. And as a result, we join their offspring as they seek the sanctity of these lands and the remains of their ancestors. To ignore this, ask, and to not react with sensitivity is not right and irresponsible. Taking into account of all the above, we request legislation from the town of Southampton to require archaeological studies, surveys, inquiries about the land in the Fort Hill area, Sugarloaf, and Shinnecock Hills in advance to ensure any discovered burial grounds go undisturbed. Equally as important, moratoriums on builds and digs in the Sugarloaf and Fort Hill area need to be put into place until the lands are proven free of remains, burial sites, and graves. We, the newer residents of this land, owe these measures of equal protection to our brothers and sisters of the Shinnecock Nation. Our organization, the African American Education and Cultural Festival, Inc., and all our members stand firmly in support of the rights of friends in our community of the Shinnecock Nation to protect their burial grounds and cemeteries, honoring the sanctity of those who have transitioned. Because you are elected officials sworn to uphold the laws, have an additional responsibility to extend the same love we expect to other people. Sincerely, on behalf of our membership and the people of Shinnecock Nation, this is from Marilyn Banks Winters, the president and co-chair, James W. Banks of the African American Educational and Cultural Festival, Inc. And they're a 501c3
Lena, will you
organization.
give a copy to the clerk for distribution?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine.
All right, is there, I want to get to the agenda, I know everybody does, but is there anyone else who wishes to be heard before we get to the meetings? Sir and ma'am, if you'd like to sit, there are some seats, and there are, before we vote on these historic pieces of legislation, there may be some other people who want to come in. We have a few seats available, so we just need to send that message. All right, maybe Janice, you could just check. We have one,
I
two,
think they're handling
maybe
that
3 or
outside
4
there.
seats available. All right, sir, in the back? And to the woman who just sat, did you want to speak as well?
Yeah, I'm here in support of.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Kurt Cronenberg. I'm not indigenous, but I'm born from Mother Earth. These people I just point out a few dates that I see: 1640, 1894, 1777, 1928, another 1640. These people have been here for 10,000 years, literally 10,000 years on Turtle Island, as it was originally called. You know, how much are we going to keep doing for the filthy rich to have their playgrounds? You know, I hope you guys understand what sacred means. You know, that's what they live for. You know, it's just sad that we're digging up. We know the indigenous people have been here forever, and for you not to go and find out where they've been buried, or letting all these developers come in just for money. That's basically it. You guys are GOV, not GOD. You understand that? That's all it is. These people care for their people. If you came to where my father was buried in 1973 and tried to dig him out, I would be there and I would die. You would have to kill me. You literally would have to kill me if you were trying to dig him out of his grave because you want to build some home or luxury condo or whatever it is. I've always went by what Bob Marley has, in one of his songs says, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. We're so mentally enslaved for money, and that's basically what it is when it all comes down to it, you know. We've eliminated these people, basically, from their own lands. I understand this is United States, the whole 9 yards. I totally get that. I know people got to live, but this is sacred grounds you're talking about. If we went to 9/11 and started ripping up that sacred ground that is there now, all the United States would be up in an uproar right now. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Stop with the money, man. Stop that, please. Let these people have their own. It's their ancestors. It's their ancestors. That's all it is. It's their ancestors, and they did care that much. There's some people outside that are protesting right now, don't even want to come in here from the indigenous Shinnecock Nation. They're sick and tired of this. You guys got to stop, man. Enough is enough. Well, how much more do you need from, you know, how much money do you guys need? You want me to give me my last bill of $20 that I have in my pocket? Do you guys need that? Is that what you live on? Stop it. More. Stop with the more. Enough is enough already. Please respect these people. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. All right, there's a woman in the back who wishes to be heard. Do you want to come forward and identify yourself?
Hello, my name is Ella Inglesnow.
Oh, hey, Ella. I didn't recognize
Hi.
you behind the mask.
I saw you in February. I came to the hearing, and I think it's pretty, everyone has said what I would say. I don't even really know what to say. I'm here in support of Shinnecock Nation, in support of the Graves Protection Act. And I'm just wondering what you all really believe in, and you know, what you stand for, what your vision is, because it seems like there's a lot of head nodding, and it's your actions and your behavior do not match your head nodding. And Mr. Schneiderman, I hope everyone here has watched the documentary Conscience Point. I've watched it several times. I was very disturbed by what you had to say in it, and I would challenge you to kind of look at yourself in that film and your language and really think about how you showed up, and how that And you know, the words that come out of all of your mouths. What is your vision for this place? Shinnecock leadership has been very generous in sharing a vision that is something that I would like to stand behind. And I stand here also on behalf of my family. We are all residents of Sagaponack. And so I'm just wondering why you are not more willing to listen to that vision of Shinnecock leaders and really collaborate, because you say you want to collaborate, but it doesn't seem like you are collaborating or listening. So, you know, it's lucky for this town that Shinnecock is willing to offer that kind of leadership and that kind of vision. So I just wrote some notes that I'm not very good at just talking off the cuff, but I just see that I feel that there's absolutely no reason for you to not vote yes today on the Graves Protection Act. This delaying while you continue to hand out building permits has gone on too long and is criminal. And your misuse of power is a perpetuation of settler colonialism that myself and my family, who I'm representing, we find it in no way acceptable, and that furthermore, it's a form of violence. And I sat here in February and I listened to you say that you support this legislation, so I ask you now to please vote yes and follow your word. Thank you.
Thank you, Ella.
Thank you.
Right, anyone else who wishes to be heard?
Hello, board. How are you? My name is Bobby Smith. I'm Social Justice Director in Healthcare. I'm also a licensed mental health therapist. I got on board of this because my president asked me to speak. I'm Social Justice Director for the organization that she spoke of, based in Riverhead. I'm also the cousin of J.R. Smith. He owns 3 houses here, a famous basketball player. He used to play for the New York Knicks. He owns 3 houses in Southampton. Having said that, I got on board when I heard about this because I just thought this was just unheard of. I challenge you guys, when you guys go to a funeral, to look at your loved one in the casket. And just think about digging that person back up. That sounds inhumane. That also sounds like you're poisoning the water system here. I mean, I don't understand how a bill has never been passed. You're digging bodies up from the grave for money. I mean, you see all these powerful construction companies, they just continue to build and build and build and just get rich. They're getting rich off the Shinnecocks in Southampton. This is disturbing. This is what Long Island has come to. People doing things for money. It is a concern. It is a concern to me. It should be a concern to all you ladies and gentlemen here. And I hope with the vote that you guys come to the conclusion. And I do think, Jay, if you do come with the right conclusion, I think that will help you out. I'm sure you're tired of the emails and all the letters that's being sent to you. This is disturbing. I mean, I was at the commitment march 2 weeks ago. They talked about this. Long Island is known for robbing people's graves. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people was at that march. And that was mentioned at the march. It's bad. It's a beautiful land here. A lot of rich people live here. It's the heart, the center of Long Island. But we cannot continue to dig people out of their graves. If it was my mom or dad, and I heard someone was digging their grave, they would have to take me out dead. It's ridiculous. I hope you guys come to a resolution, and I think this will help you out, Jay, as a supervisor coming to this, because this should have been done years ago. This is sad. Like I said, I challenge you guys when you guys go to a funeral again to look at your loved one inside that casket and just think about someone digging them out of their grave. And what would you do? How would you feel? Also tell your construction companies to not pick on the dead. Stop. It's not safe. It's disturbing. I mean, I've read the ladies outside, they're crying. The Shinnecock residents, they're crying. And I know what the issue is. The issue is they don't have the money to compete with all these construction workers, these developers, these real estate brokers. That's the problem. And this is what happens. The rich constantly continues to take over the poor. And this is why we have these meetings like this. It doesn't just happen with these type of situations, it happens all around the world. The rich is always bullying the poor instead of taking on people that's equal value to them. My cousin bought the first house in Southampton. It was a huge disturbance. Drug dealer moving to the community. They didn't realize he was a basketball player. Now everyone wants autographs. Black man can have millions. What I'm saying is, let's fix the situation. Vote the right way. These people will protest every day. And I'm sure you guys are tired of them protesting. But they're protesting with a purpose. There are people that protest without a purpose. But they're protesting for a purpose. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else who wishes to be heard? All right, seeing none, I'll make a motion to close public portion.
Second.
It's like everyone, second by Councilman Schiavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so, to the agenda. First, let's walk on. There's 4 resolutions in your walk-on packet. Resolution 34737, authorize supervisor to enter into agreement with Nelson Pope and Voorhees, connection with SECRA review services for the site plan special exemption application CVS Hampton Bays. 34739 is warrant number 17. 34747 adopts a negative declaration for amendment to Town Code Chapter 330, adding new section 330-333 entitled Protection of Unmarked Graves. 34750, authorize supervisor to sign a memorandum of understanding with Suffolk County for meal delivery to people who cannot access food during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm making a motion to walk all 4 of those on.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. This requires 4 out of 5 to add these to the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so it's unanimous and they are added to the agenda. Okay, next, one of those resolutions is necessary prior to the vote on the Graves Protection Act, which is the secret piece of it. So what I'd like to do is take that one first out of order. So let me make a motion to take 34747, adopting a negative declaration for amendment to Town Code Chapter 330, adding Section 330-333 entitled Protection of Unmarked Graves. Motion to take out of order. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay, so what we're going to do is take this one first. This is not the vote on the moratorium. This is not the vote on the Graves Protection Act. This is just under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. We need to determine the type of action, and it was originally thought of as what's called a Type 2 action. We found out it was an unlisted action, which meant that we had to do a longer form environmental assessment, which we have done, and determined that there were no findings that it was called a negative declaration. So that will allow us to then move forward with the vote on the actual legislation. So I will make a motion to approve 34747, making that negative declaration.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay, next I'd like to make a motion to take, and we're going to have to amend this, but 759 on page 29 of your packet, 759 out of order. It's a resolution of adoption amending Town Code Chapter 330 zoning to add a section 330-333 entitled Protection of Unmarked Graves.
I'm sorry, what page are you on?
On page 29.
29.
29, thank you.
29. Did I say the wrong number? I might have. Is there a second to taking it out of order?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay, now that we can take it out of order, we need to amend it because it says type 2 action, it needs to say an unlisted action. And we also need to put in, as a result of a negative declaration adopted by the town board pursuant to resolution docket ID 34747. So that, Madam Clerk, do you know where those are being inserted?
I do, yes.
You do. Does the town board aware? Type 2 is becoming unlisted, and in the last line of the third whereas clause, where it says town code, comma, that no further review, it's town code, comma, and that as a result of a negative declaration adopted by the town board pursuant to resolution doc ID number 34747. Okay, being inserted. So I'm making a motion to amend. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we can vote. So now I am going to, and I do want to say a word or two, but not very much. I'm going to make a motion to adopt Resolution 759 of 2020 as amended.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. On the motion. So New York is one of only 4 states that doesn't have a law similar to this on the books. And it became, for me, extremely apparent when human remains were unearthed on Hawthorne Road, and immediately reached out to halt construction and went to the building inspector to issue a stop work order and was told, on what grounds? You have no basis to issue a stop work order. I said, that's crazy. What do you mean? You can disturb human remains, a burial site potentially in this case, and continue? Apparently so. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me that that was the case. So luckily in that case, we had a developer who would work with the town. We got to stop all construction, and in that case, we were able to successfully negotiate and acquire that property. Thank you to the CPF fund that gave us the ability to do that. And those, I know, Elena, now you're on the CPF committee, and appreciate your service there. So then, and this was not a new issue to the Shinnecock. The Shinnecock had been saying for years, we need procedures, we need something on the book. This has been a cry for decades. I remember out in Bridgehampton, I may have been a legislator or maybe supervisor of East Hampton at the time, across from Kmart, when human remains were found out in Bridgehampton. This is something that should have been in the town code a long time ago. But getting it right wasn't the easiest thing either. I looked at laws in Florida, I looked at laws across the country, looked at things that were being proposed in Albany that never passed, reached out, to Becky, Ginia, and others, Elena, lots of people, Brian Polite, Lance Gums, different people from the reservation, and tried to figure out what that law ought to look like. And we did a pretty good job going back and forth and getting something that everybody wasn't perfect, but everybody felt was pretty good. It sets up a series of steps that if you encounter likely human remains, you must follow these or you will face severe penalties, $10,000 fines and things like that. It's probably still not enough for desecrating a grave area. But it's something, whereas nothing was on the books. We came up with something that we thought was pretty good, and I submitted it back in February, or maybe early March, and then boom, a pandemic swept across the globe, and there was a halt on construction, there was a halt on assemblies of anybody. Nobody could get together, and it did cause delay, and I know that delay caused frustrations for people because they had waited a long time. And believe me, I wanted to get this legislation in place as well, as quick as possible. And thanks to the advocacy of the Graves Protection Warriors, we've sped it up even more. So that we can vote on it today. I asked the planning board to give us their recommendations. They held a special meeting just so we could be able to vote today. They did comment. We also got, and thank you, Jim Burke, reaching out to Suffolk County Planning Commission to give us their comments, because we needed that before we could vote too, and they said it's up to the town board. The planning board's comments, I think are helpful, but I don't believe we need to change the legislation or prevent today's vote. I'm not sure they understood that under this law, right immediately, from the very moment that likely human remains are identified, all work stops. All work stops. And I think that they were looking to bring the archaeologist in earlier to make sure that no further disruption to the site. That happens by stopping the work, stopping all work at the site and protecting it. So we can always revisit it in the future if constructive comments are made, but I'm going to ask the board to move forward today. It's so important that we put something in place to protect these sacred burial sites. So important. And we have that opportunity to do so today. And actions speak louder than words. They've been waiting for a long time for action. And so I'm going to stop with the words, and hopefully we'll move to action. Anyone else? All right. Hearing none, I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? It's unanimous. Congratulations.
Amen. Thank you, thank you.
All right, so we now have the moratorium piece. Brian, do you want to reserve it until after the moratorium? Okay. So I'd like to now make a motion to take Resolution 760 of 2020 out of order. And this is the resolution of adoption and action, Town Code Chapter 323, imposing a moratorium on certain development actions within particular areas of the hamlet of Shinnecock Hills. Is there a second to take out of order?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. Okay, let me make a motion to approve, and then I have a word or two on this as well. So I'll make a motion to approve 760 of 2020. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Schiavone. So this is the tougher of the two moratoriums. This is the more inclusive of properties. Originally, I had proposed, after the request of members of the Shinnecock Nation, a moratorium in this area. I used the state maps. There is 2 designated areas on that state-recognized map. Fort Hill, which was the principal settlement area of the Shinnecock Nation before they were moved over to the neck, or the reservation. Brian tells me they call it the neck over there, right? And then the Sugarloaf area, which is just below it, which was the primary burial grounds. It doesn't mean that other areas throughout the East End were not burial grounds for the Shinnecock, but this was a state area, a state-recognized area. It was then brought to our attention that the Hawthorne Road burial was outside this area, and that the topography characteristics of this other area, near fresh water, undulating hills, very similar to the Sugarloaf area, was likely also part of that burial area, and as evidenced by the Hawthorne Road discovery, that it would make sense to expand the rules for the Sugarloaf area into this area. Now, there's 2 separate sets of rules here. The Sugarloaf and the expanded area apply to all construction that involves excavation. In the Fort Hill area, it's all new home construction. So that is what's before us today. It's 6 months. There is a way, if you live in this area and you are looking to put a pool in or a garage, it doesn't say that you can't do that. It does say that you have to do archaeology first so that you avoid desecrating a grave or disturbing cultural artifacts. And that can be done through a number of means, but something called Stage 1 archaeology, Stage 1A, and Stage 1B. Stage 1 is more of a review of the literature, review of what's known in the area. Stage 1B actually involves putting test holes in on the property, particularly in the area where disturbance is proposed. What I'm going to be asking the board in the weeks ahead, assuming we pass this, is that we actually do stage 1 for the entire moratorium area, so that individual applicants concerned about the cost won't have to do stage 1. It will already be done for that entire Sugarloaf and Fort Hill area, plus the expanded area. And all that will be necessary would be then stage 1B. And we continue to have an aggressive Community Preservation Fund program targeting properties in this area. We have, I think, preserved around 50 parcels in the Shinnecock Hills vicinity, and we will continue to do so. When properties become available, and we're actually reaching out to property owners with vacant lots to see if they're interested in selling their properties. But that's a secondary point. I think this moratorium is really important. Right now, if somebody has a lot in this area, in a known burial area, and they want to put up a house, they don't have to do anything. They just get a building permit and they can go ahead and dig a foundation without first finding out if maybe that piece of property where they're trying to build may contain ancient burials. Other towns have laws like this, where you have culturally sensitive properties and you're going to develop in them. You do this 1 ounce, this little bit of protection, prevention. It's a small piece, because considering you're probably going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars building a home or a garage or an addition, to spend a little bit to make sure that you're not going to be digging up somebody's grandfather, like this gentleman mentioned, or his father. I wouldn't be a happy camper if I knew that my mother's remains were being disturbed. I get it. People have a right to be passionate about this issue. The history has not been kind, at least, the colonial history to the Shinnecocks. Their lands were taken, their people killed through smallpox and all kinds of other, horrible atrocities committed against the Shinnecock. And we can't erase, 400 years of history. What we can do is move forward with some positive steps that, respect the people who were here first, respect the history of the indigenous peoples, and particularly their ancestors. We can move forward together and do some good things. That's what my hope is for today, that we take some actions where the town could move forward in a positive way with our neighbors, the Shinnecock Nation, and understand that this was their land, and we are now living upon their sacred lands, and we can certainly do a better job than some of our ancestors have done in terms of the way they've treated the Shinnecock Nation. So that is my hope here. This moratorium is 6 months, and it gives us the time, gives us 6 months to figure out what laws ought to be on the books to protect Shinnecock graves, potentially colonial graves, to protect cultural artifacts that, once destroyed, we'll never learn from that history again. So I think this is an important measure, and I certainly hope the board will join me in supporting it. Anyone else?
I'd just like to say thank you to the town attorney's office. I had some questions after the last town board meeting. One of the homeowners in the area had some concerns, and I wanted to make sure that I had some information to give that person, as well as knowing myself, and our town attorney came up with a nice fact sheet, which has lots of information. I suggest everybody take a look at it. It's explained in not legalese, so easy for people like me to understand. And it gave me some comfort. It gives some, not that we're recommending archaeologists, but it's there. The information is there if somebody needs it. It kind of just breaks it down easily, and it was helpful, and I hope it's helpful to anybody who may come across the issue on their land, because we want people to do the right thing, and all of this should be helpful for them to do that.
I know there was a question about how much this costs. It's a couple $1,000s. Mm-hmm. If we do stage 1A for the whole area, which would have added another 1,000 or 2 potentially to that property, it'll just be the 1B, which could be a couple $1,000s maximum. It's focused on the area where disturbance is being proposed. Anyone else on it?
Yeah, a moratorium is certainly an important action by any municipal government, and it's not to be taken lightly. We are literally changing the rules for a period of time on how people can use their property. And as Ms. Cuffey-Wilson stated, we're the fourth board to be looking at this, and it's probably been, well, predates 4 boards ago. Anyway, I'm sure that the Shinnecock have been asking for this for many, many years. And in the state that has such a rich history containing Native Americans that have contributed to our government, I hope that our state passes something similar. I also hope that other municipalities on Long Island adopt what we're going to be adopting today, I think, with this moratorium and the Graves Protection Act. But like I said back in March, I do support this. My position has not changed, and I will be voting in the affirmative.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else? Who was the second on this before?
Second was Tommy John Scavone.
All right, so we had a motion by myself to approve, second by Councilman Scavone. I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. All right, I don't often do this because we do have public portion, but we do have the chair of the Shinnecock Tribal Council. I'd like to invite Brian Polite, Chairman Polite, up. He's asked for a moment, only if it passed. He wanted, he probably would have addressed the board if it didn't pass, but I think he'd have different things to say, so.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Brian Polite. I'm the chairman of the Shinnecock Indian Nation. As you see on the seal and on many garbage cans around the town of Southampton, it has a pilgrim and a Native American coming and looking at each other. Since 1640, that relationship has been fraught with all kinds of upheaval, hasn't always been the greatest relationship over the years. But I think today, with this bill, with this passing, with the work of the Graves Protection Warrior Society and the town board, I think we can say that we're turning a new chapter in the relationship of the Shinnecock Indian Nation and the town of Southampton. And I really want to recognize the hard work and dedication of the Graves Protection Warrior Society, Rebecca Genia, Jennifer Cuffey, everybody who's stood hand in hand over the last 40 years, 30 years trying to get this passed. All of the overwhelming support that we've gotten for the community members that aren't Shinnecock but feel a connection to the Shinnecock Indian Nation and to this land. And I also want to congratulate this board for the board to finally get it over the finish line, to finally get it done. And I want to personally thank each and every one of you guys for taking the hard work, and during this pandemic, understand that it's hard, but taking the hard work, asking the tough questions, allowing for both sides of the debate, and getting it across the finish line. Jay, I want to especially thank you for all your hard work and dedication on this particular issue. I know it hasn't been easy. As I've said in the past, anything is not directed towards just one board. It's directed towards a system that the Shinnecocks have felt has let them down over the years. I'm overjoyed and I'm happy that we were able to come together as a town government and a Shinnecock government and the Graves Protection Warrior Society and actually pass and work on a piece of legislation that is the first of its kind in New York State. I think you guys should all be very proud on the landmark legislation, and hopefully it'll serve as a template for all of New York State to adopt. So again, I just want to thank you guys so much, and I look forward to continuing this partnership that has now developed between the Shinnecock Nation and the town of Southampton. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. All right, so we're going to go back to the top here. I'm willing to tell you, you guys, you're welcome to stay, but we understand if you leave too. You gotta.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks
very much.
Thanks for your advocacy. Congratulations, Brian. Thanks for your work on this. St. John Williams, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Elena.
Ryan, are you here to update us, or just, so maybe at the very end, if the board wants that, is there a piece of legislation pending that you're here for? Okay, then I won't take it out of order. All right. All right, so we are back to the top. So we're going to go to Resolution 665. And John, that's actually your resolution. Do you want to read it?
Town Board Resolution 2020-665 is co-sponsored with Rick Martell and Councilman Scavone to authorize the purchase from Delisle Concrete Corporation for new sidewalks at the Militia Green property using Suffolk County contract. And I had a discussion with, we're trying to fund this. There is, we want to get the bricks, as I think we've all understood, they last longer. It is a bit more of an expense, so I'm just waiting for
You want to table?
our Parks Director to come up with the funding with our Controller's Office. So I'll have to table this till the next.
Motion table by Councilman Bouvier. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next is 730 of 2020, authorized acquisition of lands of Cotasuco LLC, Noyak, and amends the CPF management and stewardship plan to include that property. I think this we had left open for 2 weeks, but it's now closed, I think. So it is eligible for a vote. It's 5 acres, Millstone Road. I think, Tommy John, you had spoke about it at the hearing, that this is, we were familiar with this area. It's a $850,000 purchase up in, I guess it's Sag Harbor, Noyak area. Is there a second? Tommy John, you want to second? Seconded by, is it on that?
Yeah, it's.
Oh, yeah, it's still up on the wall there. Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. And you can see it adds to a lot of open space that the town owns. All right, 731, change target area and parcel to amend CPF management and stewardship plan. This is the aquatic center. We need to table this. Can I, we've tabled the other one to the 22nd, so at least it should get tabled to the 22nd. Okay, I'll make a motion to table to September 22nd.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 736, authorize the purchase of telecommunications connectivity services for New York State OGS contract with Cellco Partnership, doing business as Verizon Wireless. I guess Verizon Wireless is actually Cellco Partnership. I don't know, in this case.
Little celebration going on out there.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 737 of 2020, authorize the supervisor to sign amendment with Fisher Signs and Shirts LLC to provide various signs to the town.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution, Town Board Resolution 2020-738, that authorizes the supervisor to sign an extension with Princeton Hydro LLC for the water quality improvement project at Mill Pond, project type aquatic habitat restoration, carp removal, and floating constructed wetlands.
Second.
Second by Councilman Scavone. At some point, I'd like to get an update from that company, but for now, I think let's move forward.
We will have a work session scheduled on that, because
Appreciate that.
the report isn't complete, as I understand.
Appreciate that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-739 to authorize the supervisor to sign an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Brookhaven for C&D street sweepings, dredge spoils for the town's municipal works department.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-740, co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone, to authorize the supervisor to execute a contract amendment with L.K. McLean Associates P.C. for professional services to be provided for historic projects for the Community Preservation Department.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 741 of 2020, authorize supervisor to sign any and all documents with Forte for processing of fees for various programs.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 742 of 2020, authorize the supervisor to sign any and all permit documents as it relates to Weesuck Creek at Bay Avenue and East Quogue.
Second.
Second by Councilman Lofstad, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 743 of 2020, award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Palace Electrical Controls Incorporated for the electrical portion, Philip Ross Industries for the plumbing mechanical portion, and East End Material, DBA East End Group, for the general construction for the wellhead treatment for the removal of iron and manganese at plant number 4.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. This is awarding the contract for those filters for Field, I guess, 4 out in Hampton Bays Water District. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 744 of 2020, award and authorize supervisor to sign contracts for supply plumbing supplies for the town.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 745 of 2020, recall and amend the Resolution 2020-702.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. 746 of 2020 rejects proposals for debris removal at Bel Air Cove Motel.
Second.
Seconded.
And on the motion.
By Councilman Lofstad on the motion.
So I just want to thank Ryan and TLC and Parks Department. They have been, although these bids were rejected, they have been out there making things look nice. So I just wanted to publicly thank you. I know I ask a lot of you. I'm always asking about what's going on at Bel Air and how's it looking. So it's definitely looking better. Much appreciated.
No problem. We still have a little more to do, but we're working on it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, we had gone out to bid. It was way too expensive, we thought, and we decided we could do it ourselves. So, all right, so is a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. 747 of 2020 rejects proposals for South Fork Commuter Connection.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. We actually got great proposals. The problem is we don't have service. So we know there's no shuttle bus when there's no train. And the Long Island Railroad has suspended the train, the commuter connection, for the rest of this year, I believe. So we're hoping to get it back early next year. And then I'd have to talk to Mr. Neely, but I don't know if we'll have to rebid this. We probably will, since we're rejecting all the bids, but hopefully this service will be reinstated early in 2021. All right, had a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 748 amends the 2020 through 2024 capital budget and adds capital project West Hampton Community Center.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. This puts it into our capital program.
Yep.
And we're going to be talking more about the building in a moment, but this is a necessary first step. So it was seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-749, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell, is a resolution authorizing the purchase of 112 Old Riverhead Road, West Hampton Beach, for the purposes of a community center.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. John, do you want to say a little bit about this?
Well, I'll just say a little bit about it. It's been a long time coming. A lot of people worked on this over the last few years. It's a real need in the western part of the town, and I'm really glad, and I want to thank Len in particular for helping devise a way to make that happen. The gods have come together in a good place so that we're able to purchase this at probably a better deal than we would have even leasing it. And we've got overwhelming support. I've had no negative letters at all. Just a lot of people that are really looking forward to working on this. And so the next step is obviously to close. And then after that is to start to work on it as per the design that we're through our senior services, Liz Dwyer, and the head of the CEAC, the chair, Craig Catalanato, who's been a big part of this over the last few years as we got to this goal. So we're over the finish line, and almost over the finish line. I shouldn't say that. So let's thank you very much for everybody who's, if I had forgotten somebody, please forgive me, and thank you all so very much.
Anyone else? I want to say a word too, so.
Hey, John, I want to thank you for your patience because, good things do come to those who wait, and this is a tremendous project. The amount of space we have, the possibilities for expansion, the programs we can put in there already, it's going to be a tremendous asset. I'm looking forward to the completion of it and servicing that in the Devout community. I think it's wonderful. It's great.
Well, thank you, Rick. I appreciate that.
John, you and I have served on this board together for 5 years. And I think so. And for 5 years, you have been saying we really need a community center in West Hampton. This is something that you have not let go of this, this dream of seeing the western portion of the town sort of treated like the rest of the town. And we have the Crohan Center up there in Flanders Riverside. We have in Hampton Bays a beautiful, senior and community center there. We have a facility in Bridgehampton. And we don't have one in the West Hampton area. You got something going at the library, which was good, and it sort of was a bit of a proof of concept that the need was there. And we looked at all kinds of things. We looked at property we already owned in that area and maybe putting up a building. It has gotten so cost prohibitive for us to build. It's very difficult. Here's a building that is on the bus route. It's doesn't really create any traffic problems out on County Road 31. It's connected. It could be connected to sewage treatment, which is great. It's geothermally heated. It's got a beautiful potential as a place where seniors can dine, but also where community can have meetings, where youth. It's got a big open air. It would cost I probably shouldn't say this, but it would cost us 4 or 5 times this much to try to create this.
Yeah.
Plus we get the land that it sits on. So, I think it's a home run. Yeah, we do have to borrow some money, but we couldn't get better interest rates than we're currently seeing right now. It's sort of the perfect time. I know we had looked at leasing with an option to buy, and our controller had crunched the numbers, and it was very much in our favor to just go ahead and purchase it. It gives us something to grow into. I know that western portion of town, getting to Town Hall, though it's the same distance, it's a longer and longer trip every year, particularly in the mornings. The traffic is just getting worse and worse, and it's not going to get better. It's not. So the more we can create satellite offices for town facilities throughout the town, and service that western portion, even if it's just getting a beach permit or whatever the type of things they go to the clerk's office for.
An occasional town board meeting.
Maybe even a town board meeting or a work session to become more transparent, more accessible. I think it's a long, it's been a dream for a long time, long before the 5 years that you've been talking about it. And
Well, I did want to jump in when you start talking about that, because the first person I went to was Sunday, our town clerk, and she had all the books of when we in West Hampton we're trying to raise money to build, from about 2006, and so there've been numerous attempts to try to do this. So. And I appreciate that she shared that with us. We started a little committee of people at the very beginning to try to look at that. And thank you, because you and I have trips through woods and various
We've looked
buildings.
at lots
and
of possibilities.
lots of trying to look and trying to find the right place. So I think sometimes good things happen and spontaneously, and this did.
I did tell John he needed to try and get this done on this watch. We've been doing this a long time, and pretty soon we're going to want to learn how to play, was Mahjong there or something, and when we're going to lunch.
Yeah, I
Can't wait too much
qualify
longer.
now.
We looked at that Mill Road piece too, the one that we were trying to sell. Right?
Yep, yeah. We looked at quite a few properties, and, we were looking up at Cabreski, and that was one of the first, trying to build one, but with the prevailing wage, it just was not a possibility for us, so, I'm glad, I'm really.
And the American Legion is very
And they're excited, yeah,
appreciative and
yeah,
excited.
American Legion has its 100th anniversary, the American Legion here in West Hampton Beach, so, I think we'll be there next Thursday for.
And their original home
Yep,
was.
that was their home.
They
and
owned
so
the
we're gonna
prior
Be
community
able to
center.
provide a place for them them to meet and to keep their.
And this is, again, it's a
document.
fully ADA compliant building. It's got 2 elevators.
Yep, 60 parking areas, as you said, hook up to the Gabreski, as, within a mile and a half as the crows fly to the school district, and we've had Liz Dwyer and Nancy Linnett and many others, the West Hampton Beach government, they're excited about it too. So it has a lot of possibilities, and we'll grow. That's when I first talked to you. We'll grow into it, and I think that's the best part about having this much space that we're able to do that. So
just to conclude, John, I wanted to personally thank you, because
thank you.
we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for your advocacy, your persistence in working to bring everything together to make this moment happen. So
Thank you very much, and for you putting it in your inaugural address, I think helped a lot. So.
yeah, I think you made me put that in there, so I couldn't backtrack.
Anyway, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Got it. All right, anyone else? All right,
I
let's.
think you guys said it all, but I'd just like to say, I think this is an excellent example of infill, utilizing buildings that currently exist rather than going to sites and disturbing
Yeah,
sites.
that's a good point.
It's a,
Yep.
and it's also, I look forward to the lease potential and to get a building like that. We couldn't build a building half the size of that for what we're getting it for, and I certainly support buying it rather than leasing it, So, well done, John.
Well, thank you. It's a group effort.
Shared services with the county could,
Mhm.
perfect example of that if we can.
Yeah.
Should also thank, and not only Jim, but
Jim,
Kara,
yeah,
who
Kara who's
who we
worked on
made rewrite this thing 100 times.
Kara worked very hard on this. Kathleen before that.
And maybe a few other people we can mention too, because Christine Fenton did a lot of work
There's
on this.
that's what I'm saying. This is, virtually every department in the town in one form or another has had their, finger in this.
They're not done yet.
And we're not done yet.
So we're going to do this as 2 votes. So the first one will allow us to buy it, but the second one will give us the funds to buy it. So the first one authorizes the purchase, so allows me to, sign the contract, et cetera. But without the money, the first one is meaningless. So we'll do an ordinary vote on 749, and we'll have to do a roll call on 750, which is the bond. So we had a motion and a second by the co-sponsor, Councilman Martell. I'll call the vote on 749. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? Okay, it's unanimous.
Thank you all very much.
So I'll read 750, and then I'll ask the clerk to do a roll call vote. 750 of 2020 is a bond authorization of $5 million for purchase of 112 Old Riverhead Road, West Hampton. Now, it's $5 million, but that's not what we're paying for the building, but that will give us some additional money to retrofit it, reconfigure it, so that we can have youth, have seniors, have a warming kitchen, have space that we can lease to Suffolk County, and things like that. So that's why we're paying I think it's $4,065,000.
Yeah.
However, this is going to give us a little bit of wiggle room to get it ready for us.
Yep.
Okay? So I don't have a second yet, though. I need a second?
Second.
I'm going to
No,
let...
Councilman Martell.
No, John, I'll take it from you, since this was your main baby here. So a second by Councilman Bouvier. And Madam Clerk, if we could have a roll call?
Supervisor Schneiderman?
Yes?
Councilwoman Lofstad?
Yes.
Councilman Martell?
Yes.
Councilman Bouvier?
Yes.
Councilman Scavone?
Yes.
All right.
Again,
is
thank
approved.
you to the board.
All right, now I will congratulate you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, John, you're next, 751.
Town Board Resolution 2020-751, a 2020 notice to bidders for private or municipal markets for the disposal and recycling services for mixed paper and corrugated cardboard.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
All right, on Town Board Resolution 2020-752, we're going to have to make a floor amendment on the title. I think gave that information to our clerk.
What's, do you want to make a
And
motion to
but
amend?
she has my paper, so I don't have the title.
Do.
What's the
Oh.
change?
Not waiting
A
for,
lot going on over here, John. Is this me? So would you like it back to read it?
no, if you just read it, that's fine. We're just for the changes for the board.
Okay, this is for the title, to retitle it Engineering Report for Sewage Treatment Plant within Hampton Bays Downtown Overlay District. And then in the please note section, that same language, Downtown Overlay District Wastewater Infrastructure in Hampton Bays, which is will be crossed out, and retitled again, the same language, Engineering Report for Sewage Treatment Plant within Hampton Bays Downtown Overlay District.
Thank you, Sunday.
All right, so there's a motion by Councilman Bouvier to amend 752 of 2020 to change the title to Engineering Report for Sewage Treatment Plant within Hampton Bays Overlay District, and also
Downtown Overlay.
Hampton Bays Downtown.
Town Overlay District,
Okay, and then also where it says proposals, the same language.
same language.
All right, is there a second on the amendment?
Second?
Second by Councilman Lofstad to amend, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and now
We'll vote on it.
motion to approve as amended.
Second.
You know you're making the motion.
I'm sorry, I thought you were,
Same second.
same second.
And then seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
I was already jumping ahead.
That's all right.
Town Board Resolution 2020-753, co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone, is the 2020 notice to bidders for demolition at 34 East Diana Road in Hampton Bays.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
It's a fence.
It's a fence, yeah, that's all that's there.
Okay, 754-2020, I need to amend this. This is adopting the 2021 budget process schedule. So the first date that's shown in bold, this is Tuesday, September 22nd of 2020. That's going to be by September 30th, 2020. And then it says, where it says town clerk presents tentative budget to the town board, it says at the regular, it should say at a regular or special town board meeting. So we're crossing out the and putting a, we're putting or special between regular and town. And then it says which is prior to October 5th. We're just going to say, take out which is and just say prior to October 5th.
It also says 2019.
And where it says 2019, it will say 2020. Thank you for catching that. Any other mistakes?
No.
Hey.
All right.
2021 public hearing. Okay. Good. Yep.
All the editors here on the town board quickly reviewing it. Okay. Not seeing any other mistakes. Okay, so I'll make a motion to amend.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. And Sunday, you got all that, right?
Yes,
Those
and
changes?
that vote was to amend.
That was to amend. So I just want to make sure before we.
Yes, I do have the language, thank you, and I did correct the year.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Same second.
Same second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. John, you're
You're on 755.
page 27.
26.
26.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm still up.
Yep.
My mistake. 755 of 2020 amends the 2020 adopted budget for fire prevention.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right.
Town Board Resolution 2020-756 is to co-sponsor with Councilman Fiavoni. It's authorized disbursement from Landmarks Maintenance Fund through the Landmarks Maintenance Award Program for repair and maintenance of the town landmark Benjamin Foster House located at 84 Montauk Highway in Watermill.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. 757 of 2020 recalls and amends Town Board Resolution number 20-675, creating and appointing the Law Enforcement Review Committee. It's co-sponsored by Councilman Martell. It's just adding Chairman Brian Polite, and Frank Sapone, Deputy Supervisor, to that committee.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. And that committee will have its first meeting tomorrow evening via Zoom. So we're going to get started. Councilman Scavone, I look forward to your participation on that committee, and hopefully will bring some great input into our local policing protocols and figuring out how to, places we can improve what we do. 758 of 2020, let's see, that's authorizes the town attorney to accept an affidavit of judgment by confession from a particular individual for restitution of damages to town property in the amount of $16,260 to be paid in increments of $350 per month.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. All right, we did 759.
Yes.
Get that out of order. We did 760. That was approved. So we are now on page 38 at the bottom, resolution 761 of 2020. This authorizes Community Preservation Fund tax refund pursuant to first-time home buyers exemption for Monica Cavillo and Victor Segarra Torres.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-762 to release a maintenance bond in connection with the site plan of Nosha Realty Group LLC, Tuckahoe.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-763 is to release performance bond and accept maintenance bond in connection with the subdivision map of Post Fields LLC.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. 764 of 2020 appoints Jefferson Mendez Perez to sanitation helper position in Municipal Works Waste Management Division.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved, and congratulations to Jefferson. 765 appoints Joshua Bard to laborer position in Waste Management.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved, and congratulations, Joshua. 766 of 2020 appoints Tatiana Dawson to office assistant position in Justice Court.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved, and congratulations to Tatiana.
Town Board Resolution 2020-767 is a notice of public hearing to accept the grant of conservation easement from Big Sky LLC for property to be maintained as open space located at North Sea pursuant to Southampton Town Code Chapter 244-4, obtaining a development rights certificate, and Chapter 247, General Municipal Law of the State of New York.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. All right, to the remaining walk-ons. 34737 authorizes the supervisor to enter into agreement with Nelson Pope and Voorhees in connection with secret review services for the site plan special exemption application for CVS and Hampton Bays. I guess that's still active. Do I have a second?
Second.
A reluctant second.
Yeah.
So it's where, I guess, we're review, that's for in-house review, right?
Of an updated traffic study.
Okay, so seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 34739 is warrant number 17, capital 17, CPF 17, payroll liability.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Number 3 we did already. So the fourth one, 34750, authorizes the supervisor to sign a memorandum of understanding with Suffolk County for meal delivery to people who cannot access food during the COVID-19 pandemic, which we've already, I believe, been doing, but this formalizes the agreement where we've been helping the county get food out to people. We started doing this during the ASAP program. They reached out to us and said, can you help us? But we've continued. I'm not sure how we're doing it, whether it's the police or senior services, but they have some vulnerable individuals that they've identified, and we're assisting.
Second?
I might have the answer to who's,
A couple of
Volunteers.
doing it. It's not that many actually out there, but there are a few, and there are volunteers that are doing it.
okay. Was seconded by Councilman Lofstad, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. This will authorize me to execute the agreement. So it was a unanimous vote, so that is approved as well. Okay, that's the last resolution. Our Public Safety Director has been waiting patiently. Ryan, do you want to come up in the other business portion of our meeting
Kim will be very excited.
and give us a brief update? We've been asking Ryan to sort of keep us up to date in terms of the pandemic, any changes at the state level or local level, and Ryan's been doing a phenomenal job in doing that, and thank you for your patience in waiting through the
Oh,
meeting.
no, not a problem at all.
Fill us
Happy to be here. Continued good news in terms of the numbers. I know the state's reporting some of the lowest numbers statewide that we've seen since the beginning of the pandemic, so that's very good. I think we had a tiny little bit of a blip up in the county, but just over 1% positive. So when I say just a tiny little bit, our numbers are still very favorable. I would say that one of the biggest things that we're dealing with right now that's on our radar is some of the agritainment activities within the township. And I know, Supervisor, you and I spoke last week specifically about one location out in the Watermill area, and we're very happy that these places are successful and that they draw crowds, but we want to make sure that this happens responsibly and in line with the guidance. So we did reach out to the state for some additional guidance, because the information that was put out by them in the fall activities guidance, if we were to call it that, was good, but it lacked a lot of detail in terms of how to calculate occupancies and things of that nature. We don't typically issue occupancy signs or occupancy ratings to farm fields. That's just not something that we do. It's public assembly spaces, restaurants.
Right, so the state says something like 30% capacity or whatever.
33% capacity, but of a
So how-
2-acre field, what does that amount to?
How
Does the fire
Pumpkin
marshal-
Town do you determine that?
What's that?
What's 33%?
Does the fire marshal have a occupancy rate?
We don't. We've never had to do that. We've never done anything like that before. This is a new territory for all of us, as with much of the pandemic. So we did get some additional guidance from the state with regards to some information that was put out by Cornell on how to calculate some numbers for different spaces, corn mazes, patch areas, orchard areas. So I met with the one business owner at the end of last week, and we have a follow-up meeting, hopefully either tomorrow or the next day. I know the one location is expected to open this coming weekend. And there were already a lot of steps and precautions that were being taken by the one space that I had met with, which was pleasant to see. Absent definitive guidance and calculation numbers, it was pleasant to see that there was already a conscious effort to try and take, steps towards safety.
Didn't one of the guidances that were related to farm workers, and how did they handle that? In the same vein?
That would
I know
probably.
that the county had provided some, or had a question to the state on that.
Yeah, my guess is that would be one of the Ag and Markets guidance documents that's out there.
You could use one for the other if there was an issue. But.
Yeah, we might be able to, there might be correlations between the two of them. Thankfully, the Cornell document gives a couple of very quick bullet point ways in which we can try and calculate number of people or number of groups based on the square footage of the area that we're talking about. So we're gonna take a look at those spaces.
Things like hay rides are allowed and
They are.
playgrounds are allowed, and because we all see it, we drive
Hay
by.
rides, haunted houses, playgrounds, corn mazes, patches and picking, apple orchards, all of it's allowable. There are restrictions on it in terms of spacing of people and how many are allowed on a hayride, that there has to be a presence of a sanitizing station at the conclusion of the hayride at the point of disembarkation. There are other requirements in there too, and so we just have to fine-tune some of those numbers with our locals.
Do people have to wear masks, I assume, throughout?
Throughout. That is a requirement. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's hard,
It's a lot.
I've driven past, what do they call, Pumpkin Town?
Yes.
A million times on a normal year, and it's just a zoo of people. It's just packed with people. So I don't know how you calculate, if you say you're allowed a third, that's still too many people.
A third of the space at Pumpkin Town would probably equate to like 5,000 people still.
Right, well, whatever.
And so we
No,
need
if
to
you
look
did it
at
on
different
square
numbers,
footage,
Yeah. And that's where those Cornell formulas come into play.
He's saying by square footage
It's
of the
just
farm.
square footage. If you take that acreage and that square footage and you divide it out and you come to,
But a
33%
third
of it.
of the third of what the normal crowd is would still be hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yes.
Because I would say on a busy day leading up to Halloween, you could have easily 1,000 people there, maybe.
Yes,
maybe
and
a
in
couple
speaking with
thousand.
Hank, his busiest weekend is right around Columbus Day. He's, in particular, taking some steps with sectioning off each one of those spaces where it was much more free flow throughout time that he's been doing this. Each one of those spaces will be fenced and gated off so that he can control the number of people in and out of those different spaces. And even the playground area and the corn maze, I believe this year his intention is to have those be charged areas so that it really controls the access of individuals, where in the past people could just come and wander about the property, go through the maze all day long and not pay anything. I believe that he's going to be making those fee-based areas.
I'm not sure he can.
To use some of that.
Jim, can he do that? I mean, these have to be ancillary, this is agricultural lands, not an amusement park.
Is his property CPF?
Is it CPF?
I don't know.
Not sure.
I don't know, but even if it's
Does that
not.
make them rights?
Well, if it's CPF property, then we have to revisit that, obviously.
Some of the other ones.
It's been around a while, right?
Yeah.
We
There
might,
are-
might-
I think his might be his
There are
own
some
Development
property.
rights are stripped off then?
There are some that are.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, but I don't know, but either, I
Yeah.
think those things have to be ancillary to agriculture. So if it can't become an amusement park in and of itself with
Right.
paid rides. Oh, it's just something to look at. I'm not.
Yeah, we'll have to,
I'm not trying to ruin the.
we haven't
carnival.
seen the plan yet. It's just been conversation at this point.
Well, and in the past, there's been that stuff, so the only difference is the
charge.
potential
Right, it's
charging.
usually, right.
They're
It's part of-
selling
I mean,
pumpkins, that's how they.
It's,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
the idea
selling
is
Making their money.
that you're.
And other stuff.
Right.
Pumpkins,
It's-
roasted corn, everything else, yeah.
Yeah.
Apple orchard.
I remember carrying the pumpkins when my kids were this big. They'd load me up with the pumpkins.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Ryan,
remember doing
have
the
you-
same thing to my father.
I thought it was, something for the kids to do while the parents are picking out the prize pumpkin.
I have a cat.
but whatever. Anyway.
I don't have that
All
problem.
right, but I'm glad you're on it. And that's not,
Have you gone?
But we're working on it.
but you're working on it. That obviously is not that's not the only corn maze in town. There's
No, without a doubt.
and not the only hayride. There's
Brian,
a
have you gone
bunch
to
of
those others as well?
We're-
Smaller ones?
We're working on all of them.
No less fun, but,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay,
we're working on all of them.
good.
We just got the information from the state with regards to the Cornell
Right.
formulas and stuff on late in the day Thursday or early Friday, somewhere right around there. So there hasn't been a lot of time to be able to continue those conversations.
That's
So
a
we
good,
will be
really good
dealing
source of
with this.
information on
It's,
that.
this is certainly, this is not the time to let our guard down.
No.
I mean, we're seeing more indoor activities now with schools. And, I've been watching the numbers. There was a blip in Southampton a few days ago. It may be all the college kids that are getting tested at their campuses, and it's registering here. But there was a bit of a jump. It's gone right back down. Typically we see 1 or 2 cases across the town of
I think-
Southampton a day. There was one day where there was 24, though.
Yeah, I think the telling tale will really be, we continue to have the conversations with the hospitals as part of the East End Supervisors and Mayors
Right.
calls that you.
I think they have a
host.
couple.
And as long as their numbers continue to stay down, and,
It's
because that'll
very-
really tell us locally what we're experiencing, and
I
I
have
think
a
still that's
question.
good.
Well, and countywide, I think there's like 30 people hospitalized in the county, which is among the lowest we've ever seen since the early days of the pandemic. I'm sorry, Julie.
If a kid who goes to college in Binghamton gets tested in Binghamton, it's...
Yeah, that's where it's happening.
It's showing
If he's
here.
a Suffolk resident, then it's,
It's
okay.
counted into our number.
and then as
Yeah,
SUNY's,
that's the basis of
SUNY
contact
Stony Brook has
tracing.
had a bit of not a whole, but like 20.
It's been a bit of an issue throughout the entire pandemic, especially for us on the East End.
Yeah.
In the sense that we have
With the
people
city.
coming out from the city.
Yeah, same
It's
thing,
the
though.
testing
The
information
numbers are-
backtracking to their permanent address on their license, which is taken when they appear at the hospital, and it's not getting counted into our statistics. So this is an issue we've contended
Got
with
it.
from the beginning.
There's so many young people got tested so that they could attend colleges.
Yes.
So many, and this is a group that
And continue to
a
get
lot of
tests,
them were
like, every 3
asymptomatic.
days.
A lot of these folks, they didn't know that they had it. They wouldn't have gotten tested otherwise, but they had to get tested to go to college. And, young people, I'm not saying every individual, but they, they hang out. They hang out, unfortunately, and they spread it. And, so this blip, I think we're seeing, is primarily within a group that probably has a lower mortality rate, thankfully, but still it can be very serious among young people as well. But
And we'll have to keep our eye on what happens as schools now go back into session. I know some of the, I think Southold schools have already suspended their plan,
Riverhead,
like
too,
a
I
day into it in Riverhead.
it is,
based on some
COVID is
positive
still
testing,
very much
so-
here. It is still here in this community, and it's definitely not time to, to drop the mask. It is still here, and it could, spring forth at any time. So we just have to stay diligent with our social distancing, mask wearing, particularly, indoors. It's of concern. But what else do you have for us?
That's all I've got for you for right now. We're going to go back to working on corn mazes in a second.
Outdoor dining, we're continuing to,
We haven't passed the board has not passed or you have not incorporated it into an executive order yet, but that is the intention. Typically,
go a
outdoor
little
dining
further.
would end, the outdoor dining permits would end on November 1st. We have intentions of continuing that until December 1st, with the expectation of continued population presence out here,
It's
the
gonna-
impacts to the season that some of
It's
the
cold.
restaurants have already experienced.
it's cold out here. in
Yeah,
December.
well, it's on fair weather days, though, people will be able to do it, and they'll have the permit in place to
So
be able to
right now
do
it ends,
so.
what, November 1st?
November 1st. You can pick up some good days between
There might be
November
a
1st and
There
December
might be a
1st.
few good days in November.
We're also, we've worked on some changes through the fire marshal's office to be able to allow for some safe outdoor heaters to be put in place as well, with anti-tip considerations, distance between flame or whatever the heating element is and where people's hands can get to. So the fire marshal's office has looked at that the combination of all of those things might allow for some people to experience a little bit longer of a season.
Okay, anything else for Ryan? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Any other business?
Just have a bit of an announcement. This Friday is September 11th, and our fire departments are going to be sounding their sirens at 6 times to correspond to when the North Tower was hit and the South Tower was hit in the Pentagon and when the towers fell in Shanksville. So when you hear the when you hear the sirens blast, that's what you were hearing.
On a related note, Ryan, before you leave, just as something that came up the other day, those sirens, firehouse sirens, that's exempted from our noise code, is it not?
Correct.
Okay. Is church bells exempted too?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, because I was asked that.
Church bells related to religious services.
What
are
about the
exempt.
hourly chiming of the church bells?
Not the case. They have to be related to a religious service that's occurring.
Really?
Hourly, all day long, all days of the week is not an exemption under the code as it currently stands. We are dealing with an issue with that right now.
Huh.
I'm sure it's probably the same.
I'm sure it's the
thing that's
same one.
Making you ask the question.
Isn't
Okay,
that
well,
sort of a tradition that
this is
the
for
church
9/11.
bells
Yeah.
chime on the hour?
Yeah.
All right,
So, you know what time it is when you're
All
out
right,
on
we
the
will-
bed.
Bad road right now.
we will talk about that.
Yes, yeah, to be revisited, the other topic.
But, so it's September 11th, is there, I know it's going to be, I guess, hard to have ceremonies. Is there anything that we
I
know
know
of?
they do have ceremonies, but I don't, this is a town-wide program that they're doing. And a lot of their ceremonies entail, several departments. If it rains, they're usually indoors. So I believe this is the way to keep socially distant and keep us from forgetting.
Okay.
343 of their brothers and sisters died.
Well, I know Jim will never forget.
Actually going to be reading names at the Tunnels of Tower
Are you?
ceremony that's going to be down.
You got to be reading that, yeah. Jim's
Always wanting.
yeah. Was it Billy?
Yeah, Billy.
His brother Billy was one of the heroic firemen who raced in and didn't make it out. It's, it's incredible that, how many years ago is it now? It's
It's the 19th.
19, yet it's still yesterday, all right?
Unbelievable, right? Yeah,
Still like yesterday,
very much so.
yeah.
And a lot of the rescuers, who didn't die that day are suffering now, There's actually one of the firemen whose brother who became a doctor, and then now he's going through some severe treatments because of, he was down in the pit trying to find his brother that day. And now he picked up the kids, so it's, the stories continue.
Yeah, this Friday. Well, our condolences forever, and thank you for, thank you to your brother.
Yeah, amazing men and women who were there that day. The first responders and, some tremendous stories of civilians who did things that were also incredible.
All right, thank you, Tommy John, for reminding us, because we won't, and now, are we meeting Thursday? We have a work session? I think we are, right? Yeah, we have work session on Thursday.
Is it virtual?
Are we Zooming it? Does anybody?
That's up to you.
I might, let's see what
If
we
you
got.
like.
It's hard to go back and forth. I'm
I
so set up.
I
on
have
Zoom,
it as
my
here.
office, My other office.
But that could be incorrect.
Computers here don't have any cameras.
That's another problem.
Are you guys okay with an in-person work session?
I don't have a problem with it.
Well,
I know
I'm not going to
Julie-
be here, but I was going to call in for exec.
Right. All right, well, I'm just going to leave it up in the air, and I'll let you know whether it's going to be in person or not.
Okay, but either way, I'll call in for exec.
You're going to do that by Thursday, right?
Yeah.
We'll have it a little bit before that, so we can put out to the public instructions. If you're going to do Zoom, we always put it out, try and do it the night before so that they can be prepared.
Okay. All right. Anything else? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.